Coming up in this video, I want to say welcome to Zen Rose Garden behind the scenes. Coming up in this video, we're going to be talking about Reiki and mediumship.
Yes, join us for some behind the scenes talk on topic we go on about when we don't have adult supervision.
And when we are running amok with unicorns and fairies, it happens usually after happy hour.
This is actually before happy hour.
Because we're going to happy hour.
Can I clarify happy hour? Because it sounds like we're always going out and drinking, but that's not the case. So in Vegas, we have a lot of restaurants.
And a lot of happy hours.
And a lot of happy hours. But in Vegas, there's all these different cool restaurants. And there's usually happy hour from 2 to 6 on any given day.
Which also means good prices on good food.
Right. So we like to go to different restaurants and sample. And you get happy hours, like you get small plates and their little dishes. And you get to sample their food. And so then you decide if you want to come back and have date night, dinner night. So It sounds like, oh yeah, we're going to happy hour, but that's kind of Vegas because there's so many restaurants here and we're total foodies. So anyway,
let us know that you can hear us and see us with a hashtag good to go.
That was a long explanation of the Vegas happy hour.
Stop it.
I can do what I want. It's my station too. Community, property, YouTube. So if you're just getting to know us, I'm Heather.
And I'm David.
From Zen Rose Garden.
We love helping metaphysical entrepreneurs bring their unique healing skills to the world in a big way. It is like a lifelong passion for us.
It kind of is. And, food. So if you've just found us, welcome. Say hi in the comments. It's great to connect, you guys.
Yes, absolutely. And it is wonderful to see all of you joining us already. Yes. Joan, Starseed, Victorious Reed, good to see you. If you're new, consider subscribing. We're not going to force you, but if you want to, click that bell and you'll be good to go. That lets you know when we post and when we go live.
And what crazy stuff is happening over here. So, and if you watch us on the regular, these hangouts are different from our regular YouTube educational videos. And here's the difference.
Our regular YouTube videos give you some free pro tips and tell you all about our signature membership group, Zen Academy.
AKA how we keep the lights on, pay our sushi bill and happy hour bill, and feed 2 hungry dogs and 1 little bougie cat.
So these live hangouts are about getting personal.
So we want to take you inside Zen Rose Garden, inside our heads, and sometimes a little too much inside our heads, and connect with you guys and unplug.
Yep, absolutely. So Zen Heads, it is time to tag up.
For our Zen Heads in Zen Ed Academy. Let us know you are here with the hashtag Zen Head for Life.
And if you're watching live, give us a hashtag live drive.
If you're watching on the replay, give us a hashtag replay fam. And let us know where you are watching from.
So that you can help this guy with his geography get better at knowing places in the world and my cultural expansion so that we don't look like
ugly
lame ass people.
Yeah, well, he's
going
actually
to your town.
He's actually my GPS because he actually is really good at directions. So
local geography, yes.
Yes. So, and if you are a healing arts professional or you want to be a healing arts professional, put a hashtag Healing Pro in the comments and let us know what it is that you do.
What do you do, boo? Okay, so Starseed says, the bell doesn't usually notify me, but my intuition has been on point. But
that's what I'm talking about.
Point. Sorry, I'm having typing issues.
I love your typing issues.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
It's challenging for us. But
Lena, good to see you. Welcome to the channel. Canada, let us know what part of Canada and what is the most unique thing about your area.
Do you have caribou? I love.
Is that like chocolate?
I've never been. No, it's an animal.
It's like
it's like a reindeer on steroids. So I really love Canada. We have a lot of friends in Canada. I've never been there, but I want to go. Rachel, hello.
My birthday.
Yeah, because
my birthday is reindeer.
Yes, David.
That's why I have a red nose.
This morning, Reiki Master, perfect, because we're going to talk about Reiki today, which was this morning. We gave our latest class in our Energy Healing Mastery and Healing Mediumship series in Zen Ed Academy. Mm-hmm. We're talking about Reiki. So David and I were talking about our experiences.
Right. And that's really what brought us together. Yep. So we have a question for you. Okay. Have any of you noticed then when you got attuned to Reiki or any other energy work healing modality, that it opened your mediumship, maybe in a gentler way, maybe it like blew you open, whatever it was it easier to manage once you started working with that energy mode?
So yeah, I'm going to tell you about for me personally, but yeah.
Elk and moose.
Elk and moose.
Elk and moose.
When like mediumship and Reiki, we get this question, like people have asked, does Reiki spark mediumship? Is mediumship part of Reiki? And Reiki itself is not mediumship, but it can open the doors to it.
Because you're working within the subtle energies of your energy body. Okay?
Right. And all those things happen there.
Right. So it's kind of like asking if the electricity is the light bulb. No, the electricity is the raw energy. And that can power the light bulb or any other modality that you use.
Right. So it's helpful because it's within this framework where we access mediumship and all of the intuitive, subtle energy arts. So
it is so helpful to take up any kind of energy work to kind of spark your mediumship and amplify it and to make that connection stronger. But that's not the only way to do it, okay? But today we are talking about Reiki or any other healing modalities. As it relates to amplifying mediumship or magnifying mediumship.
Apparently it also helps with your healing.
Yes, definitely helps with healing. Speaking of healing, Lena says, Edmonton, Alberta, elk and moose. Apparently no caribou and no reindeer. Shane Webb says, hi from Texas. And Texas is its own country, so let us know what part of Texas and what is most special about that part of Texas. Says, I just subscribed to your channel a few hours ago. What? Welcome to the channel. Welcome to our live. Hi, Starseed. And Lena says, I have not done Reiki yet, but keep getting pushed to do it. Not sure why. I've been ignoring. Yeah, healing or healing. You be healing.
You be healing.
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 Yeah.
So
healing. So it's great for physical mediumship. When we're talking about Reiki, when we're talking about opening up and things like that, because you're working with the energy of the physical body. And I think I'm gonna talk about my story a little bit because Lena was talking about I haven't done Reiki yet, but I keep getting pushed to do it. Not sure why I've been ignoring it. For me, I ignored Reiki. I learned about energy work when I was a kid. And I'd been doing energy work for years and years and years and years. It wasn't until I was like almost 30, late 20s, early 30s. And I was like, no, I don't need to do that up until then. I was like, no, I don't need to do that. I already do this. I'd heard about Reiki, heard how magical it was, heard how awesome it was. But I'm like, it can't be much different than what I already do. And for whatever reason, I had never experienced a Reiki session until I moved down to Vegas the first time. And once this lady put her hands on me and was like, that's exactly what I need to do. I don't know why I'd been ignoring it or neglecting it or all of that entire time. Once that happened, I was like, that is what I need to do. And it was magical. And so I went on my journey to go and discover Reiki and kind of learn all about it. And I've got an entirely different story that is going to be way too long to get into today as far as that goes.
I think David told the story on our types of energy work. There's more of David's story on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then what it did was it opened me up in so many different ways that I was not expecting. And it was like magic, like all of my energy got cleared out and I was able to tap in way easier to so much more than I even thought possible. So my suggestion for you is go do it.
Dive in.
Me, myself, and I. Welcome to the channel. Good to see you. And let us know where you're from and what is most special about where you're from.
So we talked about Reiki, I think, in a few videos ago, but we get a lot of questions about it. The modalities that David and I use together were really, if you're doing a private session with us, we're usually taking you through some deep trauma release. Our mediumship comes up during the course of your session.
Right.
So it can be deep and spiritual and intimate and healing. But the place where I really love when my mediumship, I can play more in it, when someone's not trying to heal a grief process is when we're giving an attunement. Because when David and I attune people to Reiki, we do it as a team. So you've got two people attuning. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And that's kind of when I get in the free flow with my mediumship and Reiki together. It's kind of fun. So, because a lot of stuff will come into me, to my brain for the person in particular, because they're kind of in an open space. They're not in trauma. They're not healing stuff. They're like really open and their energy's open. And I like to see what's around them and play. So it's very playful and so many awesome messages flood in. It's a little more fun in that space because the person isn't here for a deep trauma release session. They're in a really open, happy space, which makes the messages just flood in. The biggest problem for me is that I'm doing the attunement, I'm doing the symbols, I'm doing all of the parts and pieces that take place. And I have to sort of remember the messages, because when in a regular mediumship thing, you're telling the messages as they come in, but now I got to like somehow like remember what the messages are until later.
Putting it as staging.
And it's super fun for me, but I kind of, you know me, I like to go pretty fast. And so that's kind of a challenge for me. It's fun. But for me, when Reiki and mediumship sort of merge, that's my favorite place that it does, because it's more playful.
And Lena says, I forgot most special about Edmonton: hockey, snow, and very cold.
Is there a warm place in Canada? I just want to know that, because I don't know. I've never been.
Does Canada even have beaches?
I'm sure
like warm beaches.
I don't know.
Or are they like frozen beaches all the time?
There's like cold over there, you know.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay, so so Reiki, if you don't know what Reiki is a healing modality. It's basically a light touch or a hands-off healing modality, maybe British Columbia. Okay.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I think it's beautiful there. I've seen pictures.
So Reiki is a healing modality. It's basically a Japanese healing art. And for me, what it's done is basically flushed open my channels and amplified the connection that was already there. Okay. So I've been connected since I was a kid. Heather's been connected since she was a kid, sometimes more than others. But what I found is that Reiki itself tends to flush that line, clear off any static. Yes, there are a lot of things that come up after that. But the process itself really opens up your channels to connecting to your energy, to connecting to other people around you, and to connect to spirit.
You know, I think especially if you're getting into physical mediumship modalities, which use more of the energy of the body, having any kind of energy practice is so good because it kind of, I think it smooths out your mediumship so much and like balances it and evens it out. And I got attuned to Reiki. Like I had been doing, you know, different sorts of practices before that, but I had a 2-year period where I was healing after my divorce. And kind of towards the end of that period before I met David, I went through a breakup with a boyfriend that was an after divorce boyfriend. And I had my Reiki 1 attunement the
Not
day.
This guy. I'm a regular boyfriend.
No, he's my new boyfriend. I have 11 years. He's my boyfriend. So I had my Reiki 1 attunement the day after I broke up with the boyfriend. I was like, that's it. No more boys. I'm going to work on my healing practice. So the day after the breakup, basically dropped him off, had the attunement on the night of a full moon, September 2008, by a lake at night. It was so beautiful. Like my kids there and my Reiki master. Then I had Reiki 2 exactly a month later, same lake, moonlight, full moon, with my kids there, October 2008. And during that attunement, I had this like boom spike of sensitivity. Some of the people in the circle who were there to support me, my friends, could hear like the Spanish guitar and like a man's voice speaking. And it was like, oh, that's my grandpa that nobody knew about, that dinkled around a guitar and was, you know, Mexican. And so I felt that sensitivity really amp up. And that's when the Reiki master who had attuned me got a last minute message about we're cleaning up the stones and cleaning up the crystals. And he turned around, he said, oh, you know what? I see a person who's the next part of your path, and they're going to have a star pointing at them, something about a star. I've told the story before. They're like, maybe it's like face paint on somebody standing next to him. It's going to point at him. It's a star. Follow the star because that person is the next part of your path. And I went, oh, okay. So look for the guy with a star pointing at him. And so right after that, I went to have an energy work session with my friend Kelly, who's a craniosacral therapist. This was like a week later. Everything happened boom, boom, boom. Because a month later, I had my Reiki 3 session attunement on a full moon. Exactly a month later, November 2008, with David. He attuned me. So at this point, I didn't know David between my Reiki 2 and Reiki 3. So I went to see my friend Kelly. And if you know my story, I had spasmodic dysphonia. I could barely speak.
An incurable vocal
disorder. But I was on a mission to cure it. It came on after my divorce. It was like the spasming of my cords. And I was looking for the underlying root issues to heal it and just on a quest. So during the session with my friend, she's like felt this energy walk in the room, and my senses had been so blown open after the Reiki 2. This was like 3 days later. And I felt this energy walk in and stand to my left. And she's like, whoa, do you feel that? I'm like, yes. And she's like, it's an older woman. She's this tall. I'm like, that's my Mama Grande. That's my Mexican grandma. She's like 5 feet tall, long white hair, thick accent. And she started telling names to me to tell my dad. She gave me 3 names that I didn't know. And she said, tell your dad. And I want you to know you're on your right path. It was just crazy how clear as day she was. It's like one of those healing sessions and openings blowing you up. I was like shaking, sweating. I laid in bed. I called my dad and was like, hey, here's what happened. He totally believed me because he's very mystical. He passed on in July. And I gave him the 3 names. I was like, I don't know what these names mean, but she told me to give you these names to confirm that it was her. And that, she told me I'm on my path. I need to stay on this path. And he had been looking down at a sheet of paper, and he was a big genealogy buff. And so he was always searching for his ancestors and going into Mexico and getting records. And he had just found those 3 names that morning. And he's like, you're not going to believe this, but I'm literally looking at those names that are your ancestors that I just got off of the microphone. And he goes, that was your grandma telling you, And so I literally lay there in bed and shook for 24 hours. And about 3 days later, sweating and shaking. And about 3 days later, I emerged and I went, I got to get my shit together. Googled Reiki Masters Las Vegas to find other weirdos like me. And that's how I met David. So short story, boom, we connected. More big story that I'm not going to tell right now. Game on. And he was down in Vegas a few days later, pretty soon, like within a week. November, coming up soon on the date, actually, like November. We met on October 30th.
I was down by, I think, November
5th or 6th.
Yeah.
And that was about the full moon of November 2008. Give me my Reiki 3 attunement. And
on the full moon.
On the full moon. And it was off to the races. So sorry, that's a little bit of a drawn out story, but that was for me, what it did, because I'd had mediumship before, but what it did was it kind of went from a whisper to a roar.
Right.
It was like suddenly it was going from like having awareness of the spirit world, sensing spirits, seeing things, all the way from there to like, boom, hearing names, getting evidences, because that's what you want in mediumship is to receive evidences
that are beyond what you would make up.
Right. Like the 3 names for my dad.
Right. And then Lena says, is there a difference with taking a class versus taking it online from home? Yes, my personal experience, I've been across the board, and I talked about this in the energy healing modalities video. But my experience is, I said, I got the experience. This lady was like, "Hey, I need a guinea pig." I was like, "Okay, I'll be your guinea pig. I've heard about this. I've never experienced it. Let's do this." Put her hands on me. And I was like, "Holy crap, that's what I need to do." And what I did, it sent me on a quest to find out all that I could about Reiki. So I went and I searched online, I Googled, I put my name on so many lists to be attuned, to be healed, to be whatever. And what I noticed, I read books, and there were books that said, if you read this book, you'll be attuned. Okay, that would be cool. Something in the back of my head was, no, there's more, keep looking. So I kept looking, watched videos and said, just by watching this video, you're going to be attuned. Okay, cool. Didn't notice any change. Something in the back of my head said, keep looking. And what ended up happening was eventually I found somebody to do an in-person attunement with. As soon as I walked in, I knew that's the key. I knew the attunement was the key. That was the key. As soon as I found this person, we did the attunement, massive changes. One of the biggest experiences for me and kind of key components was noticing the physical change in the energy of my palms. That to me has been a clear indicator across the board of whether or not somebody has actually received a quality attunement.
Here's what I think is also a key to understand is that I was watching Charlie the medium, and he's one of my favorite mediums because he's kind of like us. He's no nonsense. He's really, and he did a video a couple of days ago about why he doesn't give on the reason that we don't, because we're in an intimate healing session with you.
Right.
And I'm not here to prove it to you. My gift is more important than that. And he says, besides, it doesn't come across on video. So it's like you see James on Prague and all these things, and they're highly edited. So it looks like they never make a mistake. They never fumble through. But what you're missing is the energy in the room. You're missing the emotional connection. You're missing all sorts of nuances that happen. You're missing the real healing that takes place. I just got chills down my leg. You're missing the real healing that takes place. You can watch somebody give a demonstration online, but if you're in that intimate space with someone, giving you the attunement section with the energy makes it more powerful. So I think the key is in the attunement itself, because it allows you an emotional connection with the person. You trust the person. They're helping you open energy, and it means more in person. I think I think you can give classes. You can learn all of the details and all the theory and the techniques in an online class. But when it comes to that ritual, having it in person is what's powerful, because you guys know, I engage in the myth, we engage with the power, we engage with the mystery inside of us, and that gives us permission.
What I want to know from you guys, and Starseed says, my distance attunement was more powerful than my in-person attunement. It hit me hard. And that to me depends on the quality of the person doing the attunement and how dedicated they were to your experience. Because if you've got a list of names, a list of names on a sheet that you have zero connection with, there's no energetic connection for the data to pass through for the attunement, for example. So if you have a strong connection with an individual and you do a distance attunement, I've done distance attunements that have been massively powerful, but I dedicated the attunement to that person. I basically set up the space. My focus was on them. It's just like a distance session. And Ginger says, curious, you guys don't do distance Reiki healing or distance attunements? We will do both, but we dedicate time and attention to the individual, whether it's a session or whether it's an attunement. Okay. So
no, we do distant healing. Absolutely, because that's a powerful thing.
Yeah.
But we prefer to do attunements in person because it's just more fun.
Right.
But
we will do them by distance, but we dedicate the time because the data and the conduit for that energy to come through has got to be big enough, which you do by gaining rapport with the client or with the student.
Well, you're going to have a different experience when you're attuning a whole room full of people. It's sort of, then you're dedicated to one person. So when we do our Reiki training in person, we don't do classes. We do one-on-one training because it's about that person, that healer, their energy. And so that's how we do our attunements. And
they are massively powerful.
So if we're doing a distance one, it's your session. It's not like this kind of diluted thing. That's really not what we're getting on to talk about today. But
so for those of you who have been attuned, we want to know, what did you notice as far as your gifts go? Did you feel like you got an upgrade? And which gifts opened up the most?
Right.
So let us know in the comments for those of you who have been attuned.
So for some people,
tell us your story.
For me, it opened up mediumship in a clearer way, but it also opened up my ability to feel energy and understand more what I was sensing.
And psychic gifts, right?
So it did kind of a whole lot of things. And it kind of opened me up to finding the way to heal, finally my voice, because it was.
And this guy.
Yeah, I found me David. And that's a whole story, but also it took me down that rabbit hole to get to my root issue about what was holding my voice back. And healing that was something that David and I did together, which someday probably pretty soon, we're going to do our origin story of how that transpired. But
so in a nutshell, Reiki itself is not mediumship.
Right.
And it doesn't create mediums. It just powers up and amplifies mediumship. It's like way back in the day when we had dial-up, and some of you may not be familiar with the pains of dial-up, but dial-up was a thing where basically you go and you open a web page, and then you go and make coffee, and then you drink the coffee, and then you come back and the web page is still loading.
You millennials would have thrown your computer across the room, but that's what we had to do back in the day. It's like,
Now we've got gigabit speeds and everything that you want is right there. That's kind of the difference between dial-up, waiting.
I love it.
And sometimes in order to download a file, I would have to start the file, go to sleep, hope that nobody called, and maybe wake up the next day and that file would be there. And I'm talking like a document. I'm not talking about anything huge. I'm talking about just a little document.
20th century problems. Yes. That's what that is. So anyway, I hope that kind of clarified it. It's just a little bit more of our story. This is very informal today. But basically for me, it kind of took things from a whisper to a roar. And obviously I was going through a time of life when I needed to shed a lot of old layers that were holding me back.
Yeah.
So,
and Ginger says, I have, but not in person. I was very tired for a couple weeks after. Also hot hands. Yeah. And like I said, that is one of the key indicators that you've actually received. Okay. So Ginger, I think you let Gail know that we were on today because now she's here. So thank you guys for joining us. Let's see. Remember that twice a week, we are with our Zen Ed Academy members teaching the weekly lessons. So if you miss us, you're going to know where we are.
And we're alive.
Aliens probably have not abducted us yet.
Yeah. Thanks so much for your information.
Thanks so much for your information. Usually I'm at work for this. So glad I got a chance to participate live. Lena, it is such a pleasure to have you live. Great to connect. Yeah, and if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out. The fastest way would be on Facebook at Zen Rose Garden, or on IG, hit us up in the DMs at Zen Rose Garden. So, like I said, we are with our Zen Heads in Zen Ed Academy twice a week, teaching the lessons. So if you miss us,
we'll be back.
Yes.
So if you liked this video, guys,
hit that like button 5 times because that's a magic number. It's Buddha consciousness. I just made it up.
Okay. I think that's a thing though. But if you have any insider stuff you want to know, let us know in the comments.
We would love to hear your stories and tell you all of our personal stories. And for more live hangouts, behind the scenes secrets, and mind hacking pro tips,
be sure to subscribe and
click that bell to turn notifications on.
So you're the first to know
when we drop a new video.
We'll send you the mental. We'll send you the signal.
Or when we go live. And we know that time is a valuable and precious resource. And the fact that you guys have chosen to spend that with us before happy hour, we absolutely honor and appreciate that. But most importantly for yourself, leveling up